what the whole point of jump technique is. There's two things. Do you guys remember what they are? What we're trying to do with a jump approach? It's two things. Get low and get fast, right? The previous lesson we did yesterday, it was the penultimate. The penultimate is what gets you low. Now the approach, so the steps leading up to the penultimate, that's what gets you going fast. But more specifically, it's not about just straight velocity, it's about acceleration. And that's what we mean by rhythm. When we're saying, rhythm's important, we're talking about the acceleration. And that can be, it can be slow to fast, it can be really slow to just a little bit faster, or it can be, you guys remember Hiram Fexner when we were looking at his jumps? He was sprinting. You can be really fast and still accelerate. That's the ideal scenario, okay? So that's what we're doing with the approach. Now, in order to explain what a good approach is, I like to use something called inverted thinking to explain it, right? Do you guys know who Charlie Munger is? He's an investor. He used something called inverted thinking to explain like what he would do with a company and that type of thing. And it's basically, think about everything that is bad. If you wanted to absolutely mess something up, what would you do? So let's take knee pain, for example. If you wanted to cause knee pain, what would you guys do? Give me some example. Jump every single day. What else? Don't sleep. Don't warm up, right? Don't warm up. Drink alcohol every single day. Don't do ISOs, right? If you wanted to create knee pain, that's what you would do. So then the opposite would be, all right, use load management, warm up, do ISOs, right? So with jumping, if you wanted a horrible approach, what would a bad approach look like? You do fast to slow. What was that?
Stay high.
Yeah, you would be high on the approach, you wouldn't lower. Stutter stepping, all right?
No change in rhythm, like the same.
Yeah, you could hold the same rhythm, or maybe there would be changes in rhythm up and down, right? You would start fast, slow down. Confidence, right? I've been talking with Austin a lot about the importance of confidence in your approach. You have to feel, every step has to be confident, aggressive, long strides, no wasted room on the run up. So that's what a bad approach would be like. The opposite is true for a good approach, all right? So how do we even take a bad approach and turn it into a good approach? The first thing is we add constraints to the approach, and then the second thing is we rep the living hell out of it, okay? The reason we want to rep a good approach, normally a bad approach is, right, small steps, it's not fast, not aggressive. When we turn a bad approach into a good approach, the forces you experience are going to be way higher. So it's going to take time to adapt. You're probably going to jump lower at first because your body isn't equipped to handle those forces. But what's cool about jumping and plyometrics is that as you get better at them, it becomes more intense, and then the training effect increases. So you jump higher. It's like it's a feedback loop, a positive feedback loop, right? So the constraints. What are the constraints we're going to add? The first one is distance. The distance from the hoop to where you're starting your approach. And the second constraint is minimizing the number of steps that you're taking. If you do this correctly, it'll force you to have good technique, okay? I didn't always have good jump technique. I started off with pretty shaky jump technique. I stutter stepped a lot, small steps. I shorted my penultimate. But when I did this one drill, it fixed everything. And I could still jump pretty high, but as soon as I fixed this, I jumped like 3 inches higher, hit my first windmill that session. And then from there, it got better and better every single day. So the constraints we're gonna add. So the constraints that I add is distance, right? So the first thing that I did is I started at the 3-point line. I'm 6'2" with long legs. If you're shorter, you probably would start a little bit closer, or if you're younger, right? If your outputs aren't that high, maybe a little closer. If you're a very tall athlete, maybe a little bit farther back. And then from here, I just take 4 steps, all right? So what I mean by steps, it's 1, 2, this is the penultimate, 3, 4, okay? Those are the steps. And all I did was from here, I went 1, 2, 3, 4. Now look where I ended up. I'm far as hell from the hoop, right? So in order to make it to where I ideally would take off from, which would be right here, what do I have to do? I have to be more aggressive with my steps. So I was like, okay, I can't reach the hoop. All right, let me start with this foot back, that way I can get a little bit more speed, get some momentum. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'm where I need to be, right? So that's the constraint that we're going to be adding. And then once you get comfortable with that, I literally just rep that out for like a couple months. And then I just took one really big step back. So now I'm right here. And then I added the 5th step. And this is still where I approach from. So I do a 5-step approach. And then, yeah, from here it's 1, 2, 3. Usually I take my penultimate somewhere around the free throw. And then big step. And then go up. So if you are struggling with your approach, this is how I want you guys to fix it, okay? I want you guys to start with 2 steps. You would start here, get the penultimate down. Once that feels pretty comfortable, it doesn't have to be perfect. The penultimate step doesn't have to be really long. You're not gonna be getting a lot of speed. I would move to the 4-step approach as soon as possible, okay? Specifically, if you are struggling with the length of your penultimate, with the rhythm of your steps, if they're choppy, if you're stutter stepping, if you don't know where to approach from, add that constraint and fix it, all right? So, I'm gonna try to fix one of you guys' techniques live so that we can show you guys how this works. You down to try opposite plant? Yeah, left, right? Yeah. You be down? All right, cool. So by the way, this is a cheat code. I would practice opposite plant every now and then because it's the perfect thing. If your knees are ever hurting or you're running into some kind of injury, it's a perfect way to still get that elastic volume in. And it's a good way to work on jump technique. It'll teach you a lot because you have to basically start anew, right? So yeah, let's see a left-right jump from you. Don't think about it.
Oh, okay.
Literally, like,
Okay.
just run and jump. Don't think.
I'll go like 23.
All right. All right, that was pretty decent. Big things that I saw. You jumped pretty far from the hoop. First few steps, I think you took like 6 steps, but you started right here. So literally all we're gonna do, we're gonna start you right here. So you're gonna come here, and then you're literally just gonna take 2 steps in a penultimate. So it's gonna be, and they're not gonna be super high effort. It's just gonna be 1, 2, jump. 1, 2, jump. All right, so he was still a little bit far from the hoop. So I would scoot you in a tiny bit more. A little bit more. Like right there, yeah. Then go 1, 2, jump. 1, 2, jump. Yeah, that was really good. So as soon as I see a jump, or if you're like practicing and as soon as it feels good, make sure to record yourself too. And if you guys been listening to all the jump technique stuff, you should know what positions you should be hitting, compare yourself to an elite jumper. As soon as it looks decent, now we're gonna add a little bit more effort on the approach. So I would take a little bit farther of a step. And same thing, 1, 2, and I want you to take off like right there somewhere, okay? Yeah. So a little bit more effort on that run up. 1, 2, jump. Yeah, good. So my goal is to get you to a 5-step approach that's looking crispy, all right? Now this one's gonna push you a little bit, okay? I want you to start like right here. Same thing, 4 steps. Mind you, when I'm doing this, and this goes anytime I'm learning like a new dunk, I actually counted my steps for a long time. Not just to make sure I'm taking the correct amount of steps, but it helps with the rhythm. Because remember, it's supposed to be an acceleration. So in my head, I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4. It's that 3, 4 that's really important. A lot of people, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4. Like it's weird, right? But if you go 1, 2, 3, 4, it's gonna set you up for the right rhythm. So try playing around with that. So let's start here.
I'm gonna start right.
I would go here. Get that foot back because you're gonna need a little bit more momentum, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. Yep. Other foot back. So start with your left foot back. Yep. First step is left foot. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. Just like that. It's gonna feel weird because it's pushing you. Yep, right there. Start with your left foot back. 1, 2, 3, 4. Perfect. So you covered really good ground. Now start at right behind the 3-point line. We're gonna do the same thing. So start here, come right here, do it one more time, and this time, straight up and down. Still finish right, like take off right there, but don't cover so much ground on your jump. Yeah. So left foot back. 1, 2. Oh, yeah, so now you're struggling to get there. So there's two things you can change if you're struggling to take off from the spot you're at. One, these steps have to be longer, more aggressive, but you're gonna have a lot of speed going into the penultimate. Where I would fix it is jump even farther on that penultimate.
Yeah.
And this is where the adaptation takes place, because now I can see it's pushing your body at a level it's not used to, but you gotta force yourself. Force yourself to take that long penultimate. Big penultimate here. Big penultimate, yeah, way better, way better. Good. So that one you pushed way harder, way higher forces, and that's where adaptation starts coming in, right? Now the final level, see how you do with the 5-step. So from here, really big step back. So start 3-point line. By the way, I want you to do this with your right leg. Next time you dunk, do the same process with your right left. Yeah. I think it'll help you a lot.
Yeah, it will.
Let's go there.
Okay.
Really big step back. Yeah. Right there. Now it's the same thing. You can start with the feet together here, and then just go count the steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. Exactly. I'll count it out loud too if it helps. Really big step back, really big. Yep.
Like last hash, right?
I wouldn't even think about where you're taking the penultimate or anything. Just jump from right here. Yeah. Around the last hash. Yep. Yep. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nice. So you were actually bunched up.
Yeah.
So
I should go further.
even farther, yeah. So now take big step back and then maybe like a tiny farther step back. And I think this is your ideal approach length. Yep, right there. You're gonna have to take a big ass penultimate, just warning you. So really push on that penultimate. Yep, and if you want to get a little more momentum, now you can start with that right foot back. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
This is like riding with your left hand, guys.
Yeah. Feels really, that's where, remember the second thing was rep the living hell out of it? So it's looking good. Now for you, it's just reps. And there's evidence that shows, they've done it with left hand stuff, like people have trained like their left leg, their right leg has shown increased levels of strength. I messed around with right left for the first time a lot last year, PR'd later that year. It's something, obviously there's no research that's been done on 2-foot right left and left right jumping and its effects, but I think there's something to it just from anecdotal experience. One, two, yeah! Decent. But you ran really fast.
And I slowed down?
And then you slowed down. I want it to be the reverse.
All right.
It's because you're guarding. Penultimate steps are scary.
Yeah.
They're scary as hell because that's a lot of freaking force going through your body. So be nice and relaxed. All hell breaks loose on the penultimate. One, two, three. Yep, that's it. That's it. So you just blew through it a little bit. Now you would just do the same thing and jump straight up. You can do one more jump, but that's basically the whole process. So if you guys want to like break down your technique, not break down your technique, improve your technique, this is how I do it. I don't do any like block step drills. None of that shit transfers. The only thing that I've ever seen transfer is doing this and practicing your approaches, and you don't have to jump max effort when you do it. Or do a shit ton of walkthroughs, right? Like I used to walk around the store being like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and feel how that jump feels. That's the only drill that I've ever seen have like actual context for what a 2-foot jump actually is like. So in your sessions, practice this, figure out where your approach like ideal length is, and I promise you guys are gonna jump way higher if you figure that out, okay? That's pretty much it. Now we can, I think we're dunking or something, I don't know. Go.